The WAFB Podcast Network is sponsored by Neighbors Federal Credit Union.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Game Time with John Eads. Pleased to be with you. Thanks for taking some time out of your day and spending it with us here. Be sure to like and subscribe. We've got some more LSU Fall Camp updates for you. If you missed the first edition of this last week, be sure to check it out. It's on the playlist. We've also done a lot of interviews and content with some of the best local talent in the high school football world. So if you want to catch up on any of that, you'll find all of that on the playlist. So we're into the second week of August, actually through the second week, and LSU's been practicing since the beginning of August. I think we're about 10 or 11 practices in, and that season opener against USC at the end of the month, beginning of next month, whatever it is coming up very quickly. So I've been at every single fall camp practice that the media has been allowed to go to, whether it's a day where we get 15 minutes to go shoot some video and kind of take things in firsthand, or sometimes they let us go and shoot video and stay for the whole practice, or just go for the whole practice but not take any photos, videos, any of that kind of stuff. So like the first episode, we'll show you some of that exclusive behind-the-scenes footage of guys that are playing right now, what the team is looking like, but also I brought my notebook, of course, to every practice, been jotting down notes in the 7-on-7, the 11-on-11, one-on-one kind of periods and things that have stuck out to me. So we're going to take a few minutes here and give you those inside intel things and fit it into about 10 minutes or so we don't keep you here all day long. Now, when a lot of people do these kind of, reaction, inside observation kind of things, they give you everything. They tell you what happened on every single play where the team is doing a scrimmage, that kind of thing. And you know what? They can do what they want to do. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. I think it's a little bit more beneficial, though, to instead of sitting here and giving you a play-by-play on what happened on one particular rep at a scrimmage, at a team fall camp practice, maybe try to put things into, generalities, right? Like, what can we get from this information? What are some things that I've consistently seen? Who are some players that have consistently played well versus, hey, this guy had a big catch on one play, but the rest of the plays he didn't do anything? I don't find that to be very helpful, nor a good predictor, for lack of a better term, for what success will look like for that player, for that position group, whatever, when the season comes. So I've got a lot of generalities, generalizations, whatever the word is right here, and we're going to deliver some of those to you right now. So we'll start with the defense. I think they've looked really good, especially this week. They've had a really good couple of days there. At the beginning of camp, it seemed like the offense, just like last year, was dominating. They were back, and maybe it was going to be kind of the same story as last year, where the team can score 40, 50 points, but they're also capable of allowing 40 or 50 points. But based on what I've seen the past few days, I'm not sure what Blake Baker has said to the defense, what Brian Kelly has said to the defense, but they've come back with a vengeance. They've played with high energy. They've played with high intensity. Dare I say they've won a couple of days between the offense and the defense. Just mentioned Blake Baker there. This guy's a player's coach. Like, if I were playing for LSU, I would be through the roof having this guy as my DC. I mean, he wears cleats while he coaches. I don't see that very often. He's a young guy, innovative, obviously successful, and just fun to be around. Like, if you go on LSU football social media pages, you'll see him intercepting a pass on the sideline when he's not even involved in the play, but then he runs it back as if he was playing for a touchdown, or if he drops it, he's dropping down and doing 20 push-ups just like he was a player. Today, I saw some examples. He was very vocal after a team drill. I'll get into that in a second. Just screaming, yelling like he's one of the players. Greg Penn had a really nice stop on a 3rd down and goal situation. Got the running back in the backfield. Baker's sprinting onto the field, jumping on him like he's his little brother or something like that. So he's just a very high-intense, high-energy guy. And I don't know, I just kind of get this quiet confidence knowing that he'll be calling the LSU defense this year. And I just think that he and the rest of the defensive coaching staff are going to get the best out of what they have. And are they lacking at some spaces, specifically defensive line and cornerback? Yes, they are. They're lacking a little bit of talent. They've lost guys to the portal. They've brought guys in from the portal that haven't worked out. There were a couple of years there where the recruiting wasn't up to the standard, right? Now the future looks bright, but you can only work with the ingredients you have in the kitchen right now. So with that said, I just think that this guy is going to do a heck of a job, and this defense is going to be a lot better. Now, it couldn't get a lot worse. It's not going to be hard for them to get a lot better because they're one of the worst units in the country last year, but I really think the defense will show improvement, and it won't take a lot of time for that to happen. Harold Perkins will have a lot to do with that, and he's really impressed me the past couple days. I'm watching the 11-on-11 scrimmages on the other side of the field, and I'm looking after a play where there's a pass breakup. Who made that play? Oh, that was Harold Perkins again. I feel like he just had a PBU on the last play. He is consistently in pass coverage, making things happen. And this is why he was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Of course, he's out of this world athletic, very fast, very twitchy, can hit, can rush the passer. But how does he become a full package linebacker? By covering and consistently making tackles and developing to be that inside linebacker that people were hoping he would be last year, which he didn't do. But he's really added some coverage elements to his game, I would say. And practice after practice, he is making things happen with his hands, disrupting passes, getting in passing lanes. That's all things you love to see, love to hear about, because they're going to rely on him a lot this year in coverage, stopping the run, and rushing the passer. Braden Swinson returned to practice. He is a guy that played a lot last year at defensive end. He needed to finish a Spanish course, I guess, to graduate, so he couldn't attend the fall camp practices until the beginning of this week. So he's back, and he's immediately back in a starting role, which he was in last year for portions of the season. So Deshaun Womack, the 5-star sophomore, was the starting right end, I guess you could say. But since Swinson's come back, Womack's back to the second team. With that said, though, he's going to see a lot of time this year, Womack will, because they've been working him in coverage, too. He's doing 7-on-7 drills, covering a tight end, a running back, which is interesting. I'm not sure how well he's doing in that because it's hard to see from where they run these drills. I'm going to try to keep a better eye on it. But it's interesting. I think what they're trying to do is find ways to get him on the field as much as possible, because you can't have 3 defensive ends on the field at once, probably. So they're trying to find unique and, creative ways to get him on the field, playing in this defense. So you've got the best 11 on the field at once. He's one of the best players in the team, so I expect him to see a lot of time. I will say, though, he is with that second-team defensive line right now, but will certainly be in the rotation. A few more things on the defensive line. Here's your second team. Just gave you Womack. Paris Shand, the 5th-year senior, has looked good at camp. He's winning one-on-ones against Emory Jones. He's flashing his speed, his athleticism. He's looked good. He's at the left defensive end spot. Ahmad Bro, the freshman from Ruston High School, has secured a defensive tackle second-team job. For right now, at least, these things are fluent. They could change by the day. I think right now what the defense is doing is, mixing and matching and finding the guys they like. And a lot of it's, we're riding the hot hand. Who's having good days, let's put him in these positions. So I'm sure that depth chart will get narrowed down pretty soon. I'm just giving you what I saw today. So Bro, next to him, JVR Suggs, the transfer from Grand Valley State, who I think's looked really good. He's a little undersized for D tackle, but he's got some nice finesse moves, and watching him in one-on-ones, he rarely loses. He's got a very nasty spin move, so I think he'll find ways to, show the coaches that he needs to be on the field, because he'll bring a pass rushing element to the game from the interior, but I think he can also stuff the run pretty well. And then Womack's on the other defensive end spot. So last thing on the defense. By the way, here's your starting D-line in case you wanted it. Savion Jones, the St. James product. Gio Paez, the Wisconsin transfer. Jacobian Guillory, the 6th-year senior, who was injured yesterday on Tuesday. We're filming this on Wednesday, but he was back at practice today, Wednesday, doing team drill. So he should be fine. And then defensive end, Swinson, who we already talked about. So something that stuck out to me today about the defense, and I'll give you a few offensive tidbits. So the second team was in there for a red zone drill where it was the second team offense at this point in time, second team defense, start of the 20, work your way in, right? And they locked down the second team offense. Ricky Collins had a couple of shaky passes. He wasn't very comfortable in the pocket. I think the second team D-line has dominated the second team offensive line, and that was very apparent in this drill right here. But the sequence was capped off by Deshaun Spears, the true freshman from Denham Springs, catching an interception on an overthrown pass by Ricky Collins, I believe to Xavion Thomas. And Blake Baker was on the sideline pacing back towards midfield, screaming, A-whooping, A-whooping. You could fill in the blanks on what the word is there. Repeatedly. So that just goes back to my point about Blake being a guy that's so intense and high energy and locked into the game, I don't think that Matt House was doing that kind of stuff last year. He's a defensive mastermind, but can you connect with the players? Doing things like that, bringing the juice, bringing the fire, acting like you're just one of those guys that's out there and playing, you're not even really a coach, will do that. So, I don't know. I'm very excited about this defense. I think they've taken a very valiant stand the past few days, and I'm not sure, it's one of those things. Is the offense looking bad? Is the defense looking good? Is the defense looking bad and the offense is looking good? It's kind of a fine line balance. You got to walk with these things in terms of what to take away. But what I will say is what I've seen, the defense is making a lot of plays. What that means for the offense, I'm not sure, but that's all I can tell you. Let's talk about that offense. A few things. C.J. Daniels was recently named a Biletnikoff watch lister. Not Kyron Lacey, which was interesting, but Daniels has been automatic in practice, man. Consistently getting open, consistently winning his one-on-one matchups. He's got great chemistry with Garrett Nussmeier, and he can catch short passes, intermediate passes, and deep passes. I think he's going to be a stud this season. He's going to be a reception and a target hog. He's just always getting open, and especially on the critical downs. So, over a 1,000-yard receiver at Liberty. I think he's going to step in and be an immediate impact. He's one of those starting receivers along with Lacey and Chris Hilton. And, if you can have those two guys, Lacey and Daniels, be like Neighbors and Thomas were last year, your top two targets who produce game in, game out, you've got something cooking there. One thing I've noticed with the passing game and the quarterbacks, a lot of checkdowns, especially in these 7-on-7 and 11-on-11 drills, which is good. You want Nussmeier and the rest of the quarterbacks to go through the progressions, take the yards given to them, not force anything. An alarming amount of checkdowns, though, at times. But with that said, I've liked what I've seen from the running backs when catching those checkdowns. They're taking it and making things happen in space. Like Caleb Jackson, you saw the video probably on social media, truck sticked Whit Weeks. We couldn't film the play, but we heard it from the other side of the field, and I'm sure he's going to do that a lot this year. Caden Durham, the true freshman running back, a trackster, a star in the 100-meter, all that stuff. He's dangerous when he gets the ball in his hands and he's got some room to operate. And even Josh Williams, he caught a few passes last year. He can make things happen. So I think that that's going to be an upgrade over last year. Logan Diggs was a starting running back, right? And he wasn't very proficient in the catch-and-run game. But I think that the running backs LSU has this year can take a 5-yard pass, maybe turn it into a 15-yard gain. So that's something to note there. A few other things. DJ Chester, the guy that's supposed to be stepping up as LSU starting center, has kind of sent off some alarm bells for me. Now, Emory Jones, I did an interview with him recently. He said that, DJ's been on the film a lot. He's a very hard worker, maybe the hardest worker on the offensive line. But I got to tell you what I've seen, man. In the one-on-ones and stuff, he's struggling to pass protect. He's snapping the ball, getting blown backwards by Jacobian Guillory or Demarion Johnson or Sean Washington consistently. I haven't seen him win a lot of reps one-on-one, so that could be concerning. With that said, though, you've got 4 offensive linemen around you that are uber talented, uber experienced, and obviously you don't play football one-on-one, at least in the offensive line standpoint for the most part. You work as a group, you work as a unit, and I think they'll get that figured out. But I just want to tell you guys, Chester's had his struggles getting the snap, protecting, as I said, and, he's only started a couple games in his career. He's stepping into a big role. I'm not sure how much center he played in high school, but, if there's some interior pressure problems in the USC game, don't say I told you so, and don't say I told you where that might be stemming from. 2 other things, very positive things. That was kind of the one negative there. Kamorian Pimpton, of course, forced Mac Markway to transfer recently. He's turning some heads, man. He is showing some flashes. He's had some catches that are NFL level, contested, in traffic, and he's got to just do things that only he can do to make the play. His 6'6", 242 self, man. I know I recorded one catch at practice on Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it was, and he high-pointed the football in the corner of the end zone over Juwan Johnson, brought it down with 2 feet, would have been a catch for a touchdown in the NFL, not just college. He's got abilities that other tight ends don't have on this team. I think he can do things that Mason Taylor can't do. With that said, Mason Taylor can do things that Kamorian Pimpton can't do. But I think they've got something there. Between him and Trey'Dez Green, they've got a lot of playmaking ability at that tight end spot in terms of contested catches. Obviously, Mason Taylor's going to do his thing too. But I think Pimpton is a star in the making. He'll get some run this season. But next year, could be like a Kyle Pitts kind of year for Kamorian Pimpton if he stays healthy and keeps progressing. And then lastly, this is one of the most obvious statements I can make. Kyron Lacey's been a stud. just consistently every practice, getting open, looking like the wide receiver one he should be. He had a one-on-one win the other day, proceeded to dunk the football through the field goal post. Like, he knows he's stepping into a large spotlight, a large responsibility, and got to give it to him. You know, he has absolutely handled it like a pro so far, and every practice he's doing things that he needs to do to be the leader of this team. Today, he absolutely cooked Jair Brown on a little slot fade double move, left side of the end zone. Like, he beat him by 10 yards. Now, this was a red zone play, too, so to beat a guy by 10 yards in the red zone, hard to do. And then Nuss obviously put the ball right on the money for a touchdown. So he runs routes so smooth. Like, this guy was born to run routes and be a football player. And he's flashing that and showcasing that each and every week. Now, the question will be for Kyren Lacy, can he do this against all SEC corners? Can he do it against the top corner on the other team week in, week out? It's one thing to do it against a guy like Jair Brown, who is LSU's nickel corner, probably cornerback 3 or 4, which is what he saw last year as the third or fourth, receiving option. But can he make these things happen, consistently win against the best corner that the other team has week in, week out? That'll be the thing that separates Kyren Lacy, again, from being good to elite, which is, I think, what we're hoping to see from him this year. So that's all of your intel and observations for now from LSU Fall Camp. We're 2 weeks in. We'll continue to go to all the practices we can here leading up to the season opener against USC. So we'll be back not too long. I know Jacques Doucet's been doing some content as well on LSU. He's been at the practices with me, filming with me. So you're going to want to keep it locked to WAFB, but, keep it locked here as well. Game Time with John Eads. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll be back very soon with more LSU football fall camp coverage.